He divorced me while I was in chemo and married her 3 months later. 2 years later, she showed up at my door crying. What she asked me to do? I couldn't believe it. My name is Diana, and I'm 46 years old. I live in Portland, Oregon. And what I'm about to tell you is something that still keeps me up at night. Not because it hurts anymore, but because of how it ended, because of the choice I had to make. A choice that changed everything. Before I go any further, I need to ask you something. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. And please, hit that like button and subscribe. Your support means the world to me as I share this story. I promise you, this is going to be a journey you won't forget. Now let me take you back to where it all started. 3 years ago, I was living what I thought was a good life. I'd been married to my husband Robert for 18 years. We had 2 kids, a daughter named Maya who was 16, and a son named Ethan who was 13. Robert was a successful real estate developer. We lived in a beautiful house in the suburbs. We took family vacations. We had date nights. We laughed together. From the outside, we were the perfect family. But then everything changed. It started with a lump. A small lump in my breast that I found one morning in the shower. I didn't think much of it at first. I was 43, healthy, active. I went to yoga 3 times a week. I ate organic. I took care of myself. But I scheduled an appointment with my doctor anyway, just to be safe. 2 weeks later, I was sitting in an oncologist's office, staring at the words on a piece of paper that would change my life forever. Stage 2 breast cancer. I remember the doctor's mouth moving, explaining treatment options, survival rates, timelines, but I couldn't hear anything. All I could hear was the sound of my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. Cancer. I had cancer. I drove home in a daze. When I walked through the front door, Robert was in the living room watching TV. The kids were upstairs doing homework. "Robert," I said quietly, "we need to talk." He looked up at me, and something in my face made him sit up straight. What's wrong?" he asked. I sat down beside him, my hands shaking. "I got my test results back today." His face went pale. "And you?" "It's cancer," I whispered. Breast cancer. Stage 2 bot. For a moment, he just stared at me. Then he pulled me into his arms and held me while I cried. He told me everything would be okay, that we'd fight this together, that he wasn't going anywhere. I believed him. The next 6 months were the hardest of my life. Surgery, chemotherapy, radiation. I lost my hair. I lost my strength. I lost parts of myself I didn't even know I could lose. But through it all, Robert was there, or at least, I thought he was. He drove me to appointments. He sat with me during chemo. He held my hand when I threw up in the middle of the night. He told me I was beautiful, even when I was bald and sick and barely recognizable. But something changed around month 4. He started working late, a lot. He'd come home at 9, 10, sometimes 11 at night, saying he had meetings, clients, deals that needed his attention. I didn't question it. I was too sick to question anything. I just wanted to survive. My daughter Maya noticed it first. One night, she came into my room while I was lying in bed, too weak to do much else. "Mom," she said quietly, sitting on the edge of the bed. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course, baby," I said. Is Dad okay? He seems different." I forced a smile. "He's just stressed, honey. Taking care of me, working, making sure the bills are paid. It's a lot." She nodded, but I could see the worry in her eyes. 2 weeks later, I was getting dressed for a doctor's appointment when I saw Robert's phone on the nightstand. It buzzed with a text message. I wouldn't normally look. I'd never been that kind of wife. But something, some instinct, some gut feeling, made me pick it up. The message was from a contact saved as J. "I miss you. When can I see you again?" My hands started shaking. I scrolled up. More messages. Dozens of them. "Last night was amazing. I can't stop thinking about you. When are you going to tell her?" "Tell me what?" I kept scrolling. Then I saw a photo. A woman, young, maybe late, 20s, blonde, beautiful, smiling, at the camera in a way that made my stomach turn. And then I saw Robert's response. "Soon, I promise. She's almost done with treatment. Just give me a little more time." I dropped the phone like it was on fire. He was cheating on me. While I was fighting cancer, while I was losing my hair and throwing up and wondering if I was going to live to see my kids graduate high school. He was cheating on me, I sat down on the bed, my whole body shaking. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw things. I wanted to confront him right then and there. But I didn't, because I was too weak, too sick, too broken. So I put the phone back on the nightstand, and I said nothing. For the next month, I watched him. I watched him come home late. I watched him smile at me like everything was fine. I watched him kiss me goodnight and then pick up his phone and text her. And I said nothing. Until my last chemo session, I was sitting in the infusion chair, the poison dripping into my veins. When the nurse came over with a smile, "Diana, this is it. Your last one. How do you feel?" "Relieved," I said. And I meant it, but not for the reason she thought. When I got home that day, Robert was waiting for me in the living room. He had flowers, a card, a smile. "Congratulations, babe," he said, handing me the flowers. "You did it. You beat it." I took the flowers and set them on the table. "We need to talk," I said. His smile faltered. "About what?" "About Jay." His face went white. "Who's Jay, Robert?" He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. "Diana, Don't lie to me," I said, my voice cold. "I've seen the messages. I know everything." He sat down, his head in his hands. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." "How long?" I asked. 6 months. 6 months. The entire time I was in treatment. "Who is she?" "Her name is Jessica. She works at my office. She's a junior agent." "Of course she was." "Do you love her?" I asked. He hesitated. And that hesitation told me everything I needed to know. "I don't know," he said quietly. "I'm confused. I didn't mean for this to happen. You were so sick and I felt so helpless and she was there and—" "Get out," I said. He looked up at me. "What?" "Get out of this house. Right now. Diana, please, let's talk about this. Let's figure this out." "There's nothing to figure out," I said. "You cheated on me while I was dying. You don't get to fix this. You don't get to explain. You just get out." He stood up, tears in his eyes. "I love you. I still love you. Please don't do this. You should have thought about that before you slept with her," I said. He grabbed his keys and walked toward the door. Then he turned back. "I'll come back tomorrow. We'll talk when you've calmed down." "Don't bother," I said. "My lawyer will be in touch." And then he was gone. I filed for divorce 2 days later. Robert didn't fight it. In fact, he seemed relieved. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, he married Jessica. My kids were devastated. Maya refused to go to the wedding. Ethan went but came home crying, saying it felt wrong, that it was too soon, that Dad had replaced me like I never existed. And me, I tried to move on. I focused on my health, on my kids, on rebuilding my life. I went into remission. My hair grew back. I got stronger. I started working again. I'm a graphic designer and had been freelancing from home during treatment. 2 years passed, and then, one Saturday morning, my doorbell rang. I opened the door, and there she was, Jessica, standing on my doorstep, crying, looking thinner than I remembered, pale, sick. "Diana," she said, her voice shaking. "I need to talk to you." I stared at her, my hand still on the door. "What are you doing here?" "Please," she begged. "Just 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking." I should have slammed the door in her face, but something stopped me. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was the fact that she looked so broken. "Fine," I said. 5 minutes. She stepped inside, and we stood in my entryway, facing each other. "What do you want, Jessica?" I asked coldly. She took a deep breath, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sick," she said. "I have kidney disease. Stage 4. I need a transplant. And you're the only match." I stared at her, my brain struggling to process what she'd just said. "What?" "Robert got tested. My family got tested. My friends got tested. No one's a match. But you're in the registry. You're a universal donor. And you're compatible." I laughed. I actually laughed. Because what else could I do? "Let me get this straight," I said slowly. "You slept with my husband while I was dying of cancer. You married him 3 months after our divorce. And now you want me to give you my kidney?" She nodded, sobbing. "I know I don't deserve it. I know what I did was terrible. But please, Diana, please. I'm going to die if I don't get a transplant. I'm begging you." I looked at her. This woman who had destroyed my marriage, who had taken my husband, who had smiled in pictures while I was still bald from chemo. And I said the only thing I could say, "Get out of my house." Jessica didn't move. She just stood there in my entryway, sobbing. Her hands clasped together like she was praying. "Diana, please," she begged. "I know you hate me. I know I destroyed your marriage. But I'm 29 years old. I don't want to die. Please. You should have thought about that. Before you slept with a married man whose wife was fighting cancer, I said, my voice like ice. I made a mistake, she cried. A terrible mistake. I was young and stupid and you knew exactly what you were doing, I interrupted. Don't stand here and act like you're some innocent victim. You knew Robert was married. You knew I was sick. You chose to do what you did. You're right, she said, her voice breaking. You're absolutely right. I'm a terrible person. I deserve this. I deserve to die. But please, Diana, please, I'm begging you. Not for me, for Robert. He loves me. He needs me. I stared at her in disbelief. You're using my ex-husband, the man you stole from me, as a reason for me to save your life? She wiped her face, mascara running down her cheeks. He's devastated. He doesn't know I'm here. He told me not to come, but I had to try. I had to. How noble of you, I said sarcastically. Now get out. Diana. I said get out! I shouted, opening the door wider. Before I call the police and have you removed for trespassing. She stood there for one more moment, her eyes pleading, desperate. Then she turned and walked out. I slammed the door behind her and leaned against it, my heart pounding, my hands shaking. The audacity, the absolute audacity of that woman to show up at my door and ask me to save her life after what she did to me. I walked to the kitchen and poured myself a glass of water, trying to calm down. My phone was on the counter. I picked it up and saw 3 missed calls from Robert. Of course, I ignored them. But then a text came through. Diana, please. I know Jessica came to see you. I'm sorry. I told her not to. But please, can we talk? Just once, please. I stared at the message, my jaw clenched. I hadn't spoken to Robert in over a year, not since the divorce was finalized. We communicated only through our lawyers when it came to the kids. And now he wanted to talk? I typed back. No. My phone rang immediately. Robert. I let it ring. And ring. And ring. Finally I answered. What do you want, Robert? Diana, thank God. Please, just hear me out. I already said no. Jessica came here crying and begging, and I told her to leave. There's nothing to talk about. She's dying, he said, his voice cracking. She has maybe 6 months without a transplant. Maybe less. Diana, I know you hate me. I know I destroyed us. But please don't let her die because of what I did. I laughed bitterly. You have some nerve asking me to save the woman you cheated on me with. I'm not asking you to do it for her, he said desperately. I'm asking you to do it because you're a good person. Because you have a heart. Because I know you, Diana. You wouldn't let someone die just out of spite. Spite? I repeated, my voice rising. You think this is about spite? Robert, you left me when I was at my weakest. You married her 3 months after our divorce. You erased 18 years of marriage like I never existed. And now you want me to give her a piece of my body? I made a mistake, he said, and I could hear him crying now. The biggest mistake of my life. I was weak and selfish, and I hurt you in ways I can never fix. But Diana, please, she's innocent. She's not innocent, I shouted. She slept with a married man. She knew what she was doing. She was young. She didn't understand. Stop making excuses for her, I said. She's 29 years old, not 16. She knew exactly what she was doing. There was silence on the other end. So that's it? Robert said quietly. You're just going to let her die? I'm not letting her do anything, I said coldly. Her kidney disease isn't my fault. Her dying isn't my responsibility. She's your wife now. You figure it out. And I hung up. I blocked his number. I blocked Jessica's number. I blocked anyone associated with them. And I tried to move on. But it wasn't that easy. Because the next day, my daughter Maya came home from school looking upset. Mom, can we talk? She asked, dropping her backpack by the door. Of course, honey. What's wrong? She sat down on the couch, her hands fidgeting in her lap. I heard something today. About Dad and Jessica. My stomach tightened. What did you hear? She's sick. Really sick. And she needs a kidney transplant. I didn't say anything. Is it true? Maya asked, looking up at me. I nodded slowly. Yes, it's true. And you're a match? How did you? Dad told Ethan, and Ethan told me. Of course he did. Maya's eyes filled with tears. Mom, I know you hate her. I know what she did, but are you going to help her? I stared at my daughter, my beautiful 16-year-old daughter, who was looking at me with so much hope and trust. Maya, she's going to die, Mom, if someone doesn't help her. She's going to die. I know that, I said gently. But honey, you have to understand. What she did? I know what she did, Maya said, her voice breaking. I hate what she did. I hate her for what she did to you, to us. But Mom, if you let her die, you're going to have to live with that for the rest of your life. Tears started streaming down my face. Maya, this isn't fair. You can't ask me to do this. I'm not asking you to do it for her, she said. I'm asking you to do it for you. Because I know who you are, Mom. You're the kindest, most loving person I know. And if you let her die just because you're angry, you're going to regret it. And I don't want you to carry that. I pulled her into my arms and held her while we both cried. That night I lay in bed, unable to sleep. Maya's words kept echoing in my head. If you let her die, you're going to have to live with that for the rest of your life. Was she right? Would I regret it? I thought about Jessica, about how young she was, about how scared she must be. But then I thought about Robert, about the nights I spent crying in the bathroom, trying to be quiet so the kids wouldn't hear, about the mornings I woke up bald and sick and alone because he was with her, about the wedding photos I'd seen on social media. The two of them smiling, happy, in love. While I was still recovering from surgery, why should I save her? Why should I give her a piece of my body after she took everything from me? But then I thought about my kids, about the woman I wanted them to see, the woman I wanted to be. And I realized something. This wasn't about Jessica. This wasn't about Robert. This wasn't even about forgiveness. This was about me, about who I was, about whether I could live with myself if I said no. The next morning, I made a phone call. The phone rang 3 times before someone picked up. Organ Transplant Center, this is Rachel speaking. How can I help you? I took a deep breath. Hi, my name is Diana Mitchell. I need to speak to someone about being a kidney donor. There was a pause. Of course. Let me connect you with our donor coordinator. Can you hold for just a moment? Yes, I said quietly. Soft music played while I waited. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. I still wasn't sure I was doing the right thing. But I was doing something, and that had to count for something. Hello, this is Karen. I'm one of the donor coordinators. Diana, is it? Yes. Thank you so much for calling. Can you tell me a little bit about your situation? I explained everything. About Jessica. About Robert. About the divorce. About the cancer. About how she'd shown up at my door begging for my kidney. Karen was silent for a moment after I finished. Diana, I need to be very honest with you. This is an incredibly complicated situation, emotionally, psychologically, and ethically. Before we move forward with any testing or evaluation, I need you to ask yourself something. Are you doing this because you want to, or because you feel obligated? I don't know, I said honestly. That's okay, Karen said gently. But I need you to figure that out. Because donating a kidney is major surgery. There are risks, recovery time, potential complications, and if you're doing this out of guilt or pressure, you're going to regret it. And that's not fair to you. What if I'm doing it because I don't want to live with the guilt of saying no? I asked. That's still a valid reason, she said. But you need to be sure. I'm going to send you some information. I want you to read it, think about it, talk to your family, and then call me back when you've made your decision. No pressure, no timeline. This is your choice, Diana, no one else's. Thank you, I whispered. We hung up, and I sat there staring at my phone. Was I really doing this? Was I really going to give a piece of my body to the woman who destroyed my marriage? I didn't have an answer. Over the next week, I couldn't stop thinking about it. It consumed me. Every morning, I woke up thinking about Jessica. Every night, I went to bed thinking about her. I talked to my therapist about it. Dr. Anderson had been seeing me since the divorce, helping me process everything that had happened. Diana, what do you want to do? She asked during our session. I don't know, I said, frustrated. Part of me wants to help her because it's the right thing to do. But another part of me wants to let her suffer the way I suffered. And which part feels more like you? Dr. Anderson asked. I thought about it. The first part? The part that wants to help? But I'm so angry. I'm so angry at her, at Robert, at the whole situation. Anger is valid, she said. You have every right to be angry. But the question is, do you want your anger to define you? Or do you want your compassion to define you? I wiped my eyes. I don't want to be angry anymore. I'm tired of being angry. Then maybe this is your chance to let it go, she said gently. That night I called Karen back. I want to do it, I said. I want to be tested. Are you sure? She asked. I'm sure. Okay, let's schedule your evaluation. We'll do blood work, imaging, psychological screening. The whole process takes about 4 to 6 weeks. And Diana, you can change your mind at any time. Up until the moment you're in the operating room, you can say no. No one will judge you. Thank you, I said. The evaluation process was intense. Blood tests, CT scans, meetings with surgeons, psychologists, social workers. Everyone asked me the same question over and over again. Are you sure you want to do this? And every time I said yes. But I had one condition. I didn't want to see Jessica. I didn't want to talk to her. I didn't want to hear from Robert. I wanted to do this anonymously, as much as possible. Even though everyone involved knew who I was. The transplant team agreed. 6 weeks later, I got the call. Diana, you're a match. A perfect match, actually. We can schedule the surgery whenever you're ready. I sat down, my legs suddenly weak. How soon? As soon as 2 weeks from now, if you're available. 2 weeks. I was going to give Jessica my kidney in 2 weeks. I told my kids that night. Maya cried and hugged me. Ethan looked scared but proud. Mom, are you sure? He asked. You don't have to do this. I know, I said. But I want to. Not for her, for me. The days leading up to the surgery were surreal. I had to take time off work. I had to arrange for someone to stay with the kids. I had to prepare my body and my mind for what was about to happen. The night before the surgery, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I was making a huge mistake. And then my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Diana, it's Robert. I know you didn't want to hear from me, but I need you to know something. What you're doing, it's the most incredible thing anyone has ever done. You didn't have to do this. You had every right to say no, but you didn't. And I will never, ever be able to thank you enough. You're saving her life, and I will spend the rest of my life trying to make up for what I did to you. Thank you. I read the message 3 times, then I deleted it. The next morning, I checked into the hospital at 6 a.m. My parents were there. My kids were there. My best friend Sarah was there. A nurse came to prep me for surgery. She was kind, efficient, reassuring. You're doing an amazing thing, she said, as she inserted my IV. I hope so, I said quietly. They wheeled me into the operating room. The lights were bright. The room was cold. A team of doctors and nurses surrounded me. The anesthesiologist smiled down at me. Okay, Diana, we're going to put you to sleep now. When you wake up, it'll all be over. Wait, I said, my voice shaky. Can I ask you something? Of course. Am I doing the right thing? She squeezed my hand. Only you can answer that. But what I can tell you is this. You're doing a brave thing. And that counts for something. I nodded. Okay, she said. Count backward from 10 for me. 10, 9, 8, and then everything went black. I woke up to the sound of beeping. Machines, monitors, the sterile smell of a hospital room. My throat was dry. My body felt heavy. And there was pain, a deep, aching pain in my side. Diana, can you hear me? I opened my eyes slowly. A nurse was standing beside my bed, checking my vitals. Welcome back, she said with a warm smile. The surgery went perfectly. You did great. Jessica? I croaked, my voice barely a whisper. She's in recovery. The transplant was successful. Her body is already responding well to the kidney. I closed my eyes and let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. It was done. I'd actually done it. Your family is in the waiting room, the nurse said. Would you like me to bring them in? I nodded. A few minutes later, Maya and Ethan came rushing in, followed by my parents. Mom, Maya said, tears streaming down her face. She grabbed my hand carefully, like she was afraid I might break. How are you feeling? Tired, I said. And sore. But okay. Ethan stood at the foot of the bed, his eyes red. You're really brave, Mom. I don't feel brave, I said softly. I just feel tired. My mom kissed my forehead. You rest, sweetheart. We'll be right here. I stayed in the hospital for 4 days. The recovery was harder than I expected. The pain was intense. Moving was difficult. I had to take it slow, 1 step at a time. But physically, I was healing. Emotionally, that was a different story. Because on day 3, while I was sitting up in bed trying to eat some bland hospital food, there was a knock on my door. I looked up, and there he was. Robert. He stood in the doorway, looking older than I remembered. Tired. His hair was grayer. His face was lined with stress. Diana, he said quietly, can I come in? Every instinct told me to say no, to tell him to leave, but I was too tired to fight. Fine, I said. But just for a minute. He walked in slowly and stood at the end of my bed, his hands in his pockets. I don't even know where to start, he said, his voice shaking. Thank you doesn't feel like enough. What you did, Diana, you saved her life. You had every reason to say no, and you didn't. I will never be able to repay you for that. You're right, I said flatly. You won't. He nodded, looking down at the floor. I know I hurt you. I know I destroyed everything we had. And I know there's nothing I can say to make that okay. But I need you to know something. What? I asked. I regret it, he said, looking up at me with tears in his eyes. Every single day, leaving you was the biggest mistake of my life. I was a coward. I was selfish. I ran away when you needed me most because I couldn't handle seeing you suffer. And I hate myself for it. I stared at him, feeling nothing. No anger, no sadness, just emptiness. Is that supposed to make me feel better? I asked. No, he said. I just needed you to know. Well, now I know, I said. You can go. Diana. I said you can go, Robert. I did what I did. Jessica has her kidney. She's going to live. That's what you wanted, right? So go, be with your wife. I'm done. He stood there for a moment longer, then nodded. Thank you, Diana, for everything. And then he left. I sat there alone in my hospital room, staring at the door, and I realized something. I didn't feel satisfied. I didn't feel vindicated. I didn't feel anything. I'd given Jessica my kidney. I'd saved her life. And I still felt empty. 2 days later, I was discharged. My parents drove me home and Maya and Ethan helped me get settled on the couch. The doctor said I'd need at least 6 weeks to recover fully. No lifting, no strenuous activity, just rest. For the first week, I did nothing but sleep and watch TV. My friends brought me food. My kids took care of me. And slowly, I started to heal. But then, on day 10, my doorbell rang. Maya answered it. I heard her gasp. Mom, she called out, her voice strange. Someone's here to see you. Who is it? I asked, trying to sit up on the couch. And then she walked in. Jessica. She looked different, healthier. Her color was better. She'd gained a little weight. She was wearing a loose sweater and jeans. And she moved carefully like she was still in pain. What are you doing here? I asked, my voice cold. I needed to see you, she said quietly. To thank you. In person. You don't need to thank me, I said. I didn't do it for you. I know, she said, tears forming in her eyes. But I'm here anyway. Because what you did, Diana, you gave me my life back. You had every reason to let me die, and you didn't. I will never understand why. But I'm grateful. More grateful than I can ever express. I looked at her, this woman who had destroyed my marriage. And I felt nothing. Are you done? I asked. She blinked, surprised. I just wanted you to know that you're grateful. I heard you. Now you can leave. Diana, please. I know I hurt you. I know what I did was unforgivable. But I want you to know that I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You're sorry, I repeated slowly. You're sorry for sleeping with my husband while I was dying of cancer. You're sorry for marrying him 3 months after our divorce. You're sorry for destroying my family. Is that what you're telling me? She nodded, crying now. Yes, I'm sorry for all of it. Well, I don't accept your apology, I said. And I don't forgive you. I gave you my kidney because I didn't want to live with the guilt of letting you die. But that doesn't mean I forgive you. And it doesn't mean we're okay. We will never be okay. She stood there sobbing, looking like I'd just slapped her. I understand, she whispered. I hope one day you can forgive me. Don't hold your breath, I said. She turned and walked toward the door. But before she left, she stopped and looked back at me. You're a better person than I'll ever be, she said softly. And then she was gone. I sat there on the couch, my heart pounding, my hands shaking. Maya came and sat beside me. Mom, are you okay? I don't know, I said honestly. I thought doing this would make me feel better. Like I'd have some kind of closure. But I don't feel anything. I just feel empty. Maybe that's okay, Maya said, leaning her head on my shoulder. Maybe closure isn't something you feel. Maybe it's just something you do. And you did it. You saved her life, even though she didn't deserve it. That says everything about who you are. I hugged my daughter and let myself cry. Because maybe she was right. Maybe I didn't need to feel anything. Maybe I just needed to know that I'd done the right thing. Even if it hurt. Even if it cost me something. Even if I never got anything back. 6 weeks passed. Slowly, painfully, I healed. The physical recovery was exactly what the doctors said it would be. 6 weeks of rest, no heavy lifting, no driving for the first 2 weeks. Gradual return to normal activities. But the emotional recovery? That was a different story. I went back to therapy. Dr. Anderson and I talked about everything, about why I'd made the decision, about the emptiness I felt, about whether I regretted it. Do you regret it? She asked me during one session. I thought about it for a long moment. No, I don't regret it, but I don't feel good about it either. I just feel neutral, like I did something that needed to be done, and now it's over. And that's okay, she said. You don't have to feel heroic. You don't have to feel satisfied. You made a choice based on your values, and you followed through. That's enough. Is it? I asked. Yes, she said firmly, it is. I tried to move on. I went back to work. I focused on my kids. I started dating again, just casual coffee dates, nothing serious. I was rebuilding my life piece by piece. And then, 3 months after the surgery, I got a letter in the mail. I didn't recognize the return address. I opened it carefully. Inside was a handwritten note on expensive stationery. Dear Diana, I know you told me you don't forgive me, and I respect that. I'm not writing to ask for your forgiveness again. I'm writing because I want you to know what your gift has given me. Because of you, I get to wake up every morning. I get to see the sunrise. I get to drink coffee and laugh with friends and go for walks and do all the small, ordinary things that I took for granted before I got sick. Because of you, I have a future. Maybe I'll have children someday. Maybe I'll grow old. Maybe I'll get to do all the things I thought I'd never get to do. And I know I don't deserve any of it. I know that the life I'm living now is a life you gave me, even though I destroyed yours. I will carry that weight for the rest of my life. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm not asking you to like me. I'm just asking you to know that your sacrifice wasn't wasted. I'm going to live my life in a way that honors what you did. I'm going to try to be the kind of person who deserves this second chance. Thank you, Diana, for everything. Jessica. I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it carefully and put it back in the envelope. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel sad. I just felt tired. That night, Maya came into my room while I was getting ready for bed. Mom, can I ask you something? Of course, honey. Do you ever think about Jessica? About how she's doing? I sat down on the bed and patted the spot next to me. Maya sat down. Sometimes, I said honestly. Not as much as I used to. But sometimes, do you think you'll ever forgive her? I thought about it. I don't know. Maybe one day, but not today. That's fair, Maya said. I'm really proud of you, Mom, for what you did. Even if you don't feel good about it, I think it was the right thing. Why? I asked. Because you could have let your anger control you. You could have let what she did turn you into someone bitter and mean. But you didn't. You chose to be bigger than that. And that's the kind of person I want to be when I grow up. Tears filled my eyes. I pulled my daughter into my arms and held her tight. You're already that person, baby, I whispered. You already are. 4 months after the surgery, I was at a coffee shop working on a design project when my phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. Hi, Diana, this is Jessica. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I wanted to let you know something. Robert and I are getting divorced. I stared at the message, my heart pounding. What? I typed back before I could stop myself. 3 dots appeared. Then, it's been over for a while, honestly. We rushed into marriage for the wrong reasons. He was running from his guilt about you, and I was running from, I don't know what, but it wasn't real. It was never real. I think we both knew that. We're separating amicably. No drama, just ending something that should have never started. I didn't know what to say. I'm sorry to hear that, I typed finally. It felt like the right thing to say, even if I wasn't sure I meant it. Don't be, she wrote back. It's for the best. And Diana, I want you to know something. I've been in therapy, working on myself, trying to understand why I did what I did. And I realized something. I wasn't in love with Robert. I was in love with the idea of being chosen, of being special, of being the one he wanted instead of the one he had. I was selfish and immature, and I hurt people because I didn't think about anyone but myself. I'm not telling you this to make excuses. I'm telling you because I want you to know that I'm trying to change. I'm trying to be better. And it's because of you. Because you showed me what real strength looks like. I set my phone down and stared out the window. Jessica and Robert were getting divorced. The marriage that had destroyed mine was over. And I felt nothing. No satisfaction. No vindication. No sense of justice. Just nothing. Maybe that was okay. Maybe that was exactly what healing looked like. 6 months after the surgery, I went for my follow-up appointment with the transplant team. They did blood work, imaging, a full physical exam. Everything looks great, Diana, the doctor said with a smile. Your remaining kidney is functioning perfectly. You're completely healthy. No complications at all. That's good to hear, I said. How are you feeling? Emotionally? I thought about it. Better, not perfect, but better. That's normal, she said. What you did was incredibly difficult. Not just physically, but emotionally. It's okay if you're still processing it. I am, I said. But I'm okay. I really am. And for the first time, I actually meant it. That night, I was sitting on my back porch, watching the sunset, when my phone rang. It was Robert. I hesitated for a moment, then answered. Hello? Diana, hi, I wasn't sure you'd pick up. I almost didn't, I said honestly. I heard Jessica texted you. About the divorce. She did. I wanted to call you myself, to tell you. I don't know. That I'm sorry? That I was an idiot? That I threw away the best thing in my life for something that was never real? Robert, why are you calling me? I asked, my voice tired. Because I need you to know that I've spent every day of the last 2 years regretting what I did to you. Jessica and we were never going to work. I think we both knew that from the beginning. I was running from you, from my guilt, from everything. And she was just there. But she wasn't you. Diana, she could never be you. Is this your way of asking for another chance? I asked, my voice flat. No, he said quickly. God, no. I'm not that delusional. I know I destroyed what we had. I know there's no going back. I needed you to know that losing you was the worst thing that ever happened to me. And I will regret it for the rest of my life. I sat there in silence for a long moment. Robert, I appreciate you calling, but I don't need to hear this. I've moved on. I've healed. And I don't want to go backward. I understand, he said quietly. I just wanted you to know. Now I know, I said. Take care of yourself, Robert. You too, Diana, and thank you for saving her life, even though you had no reason to. You're a better person than I'll ever be. I know, I said. And then I hung up. I sat there on my porch, watching the sun disappear behind the trees. And I realized something. I was free. Free from the anger. Free from the pain. Free from the need for revenge or closure or anything else. I'd made my choice. I'd saved Jessica's life. Not because she deserved it. Not because I forgave her. Not because I wanted to be a hero. But because it was the right thing to do. For me. And that was enough. 1 year after the surgery, I was standing in my kitchen making breakfast when Maya came downstairs with her laptop. Mom, you need to see this, she said, setting the computer on the counter. What is it? I asked, flipping a pancake. It's Jessica. She started a blog. I froze. A blog? Yeah, about her transplant journey. And about you. My stomach tightened. What about me? Maya turned the laptop toward me. On the screen was a website called Second Chances. The header image showed Jessica smiling, healthy, vibrant, completely different from the sick, desperate woman who'd shown up at my door. I scrolled down and started reading. My name is Jessica, and I'm alive because of a woman I hurt more than anyone should ever be hurt. A year ago, I was dying. I had stage 4 kidney disease, and I needed a transplant. My husband got tested. My family got tested. My friends got tested. No one was a match. Except for one person. Diana. The woman whose husband I stole. The woman whose marriage I destroyed. The woman who had every reason to let me die. But she didn't. She gave me her kidney. She saved my life. And she asked for nothing in return. I don't deserve the air I breathe. I don't deserve the life I'm living. But because of Diana, I have it. And I'm going to spend every day trying to be worthy of this gift. This blog is my way of honoring what she did. It's my way of sharing my story. Not to make myself look good, but to show what real forgiveness looks like, what real strength looks like, what real grace looks like. Diana never forgave me. She told me that to my face, but she saved my life anyway. And that taught me more about what it means to be a good person than anything else ever could. I scrolled further and saw dozens of posts, stories about her recovery, reflections on what she'd learned, posts about gratitude, redemption, and trying to be better. And in every single post she mentioned me, not as a hero, not as a saint, but as a woman who made an impossible choice and followed through. Are you okay, Mom? Maya asked softly. I closed the laptop and wiped my eyes. Yeah, I'm okay. She's been getting a lot of followers, Maya said. People are commenting, sharing their own stories. It's actually really beautiful. I nodded, unable to speak. That afternoon, I did something I never thought I'd do. I sent Jessica a message. I saw your blog. I don't know how I feel about it, but I hope it helps you find whatever you're looking for. She responded within minutes. Diana, thank you for reaching out. I know the blog might feel invasive. If you want me to take it down, I will. But I hope you know that everything I wrote is the truth. You changed my life, and I want other people to know what real grace looks like. I stared at her message for a long time. Keep the blog, I typed back. If it helps people, then it's worth it. Thank you, she wrote, for everything, again. I set my phone down and went outside to my garden. I'd started gardening during my recovery, something to keep my hands busy, something to help me heal. I knelt down in the dirt and planted new flowers, sunflowers, my favorite. As I worked, I thought about everything that had happened. The cancer, the betrayal, the divorce, the surgery, the recovery. And I realized something. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't broken. I was just me, a woman who'd been through hell and survived. A woman who'd made an impossible choice and lived with it. A woman who'd chosen compassion over revenge, even when it hurt. And that was enough. 2 months later, I was at a coffee shop when a young woman approached me nervously. Excuse me, she said. Are you Diana Mitchell? I looked up, surprised. Yes, do I know you? No, she said quickly. But I followed Jessica's blog, Second Chances. I read about what you did, and I needed to tell you that your story changed my life. How? I asked. She sat down across from me, tears in her eyes. My ex-husband cheated on me. He left me for another woman. And for the last 2 years, I've been so angry, so bitter. I couldn't move on. I couldn't let it go. But then I read your story about how you saved the woman who destroyed your marriage. And I realized something. I was letting my anger control me. I was letting him control me. And I didn't want to do that anymore. She wiped her eyes. Because of you, I decided to forgive him. Not for his sake, but for mine. So I could move on. So I could be free. And now I am. I'm happy again. For the first time in years, I reached across the table and squeezed her hand. I'm proud of you. Thank you, she whispered. And thank you for showing me what real strength looks like. After she left, I sat there alone with my coffee, tears streaming down my face. Maybe this was why I'd done it. Not for Jessica, not for Robert, not even for myself, but for every woman who needed to know that you can survive betrayal, that you can choose compassion over revenge, that you can be broken and still be strong, that you can give everything and still be whole. That night, I sat down and wrote an email to Jessica. Jessica, I've been thinking a lot about everything that's happened. About the surgery, about your blog, about the message you're sharing with the world. And I want you to know something. I still don't forgive you. I'm not sure I ever will. What you did hurt me in ways I'm still healing from. But I don't hate you anymore either. I don't think about you with anger. I don't wish you harm. I just don't think about you at all. And that's the greatest gift I could have given myself. Not forgiveness, not closure, just indifference. You're living your life. I'm living mine. And we don't have to intersect anymore. Keep doing your blog. Keep sharing your story. If it helps people, then something good came out of all this pain. But don't do it for me. Do it for yourself. Take care. Diana. I hit send and closed my laptop. And for the first time in 3 years, I felt peace. Real, genuine, complete peace. 6 months later, I was sitting in my backyard with my kids when Maya showed me something on her phone. Mom, look, Jessica's blog reached 1 million followers. I smiled. Good for her. There's something else, Maya said, scrolling. She announced she's starting a nonprofit for women who've experienced betrayal and need help healing. She's calling it the Diana Project. I looked up sharply. What? She named it after you. Mom, she wrote this whole post about how you inspired her, about how your choice to save her life taught her what it means to be truly selfless. And now she wants to help other women find that same strength. I took the phone and read the post. The Diana Project is my way of paying forward the gift I was given. Diana didn't just give me her kidney. She gave me a second chance at life. And now I want to give that same chance to other women who are struggling, hurting, and trying to rebuild after betrayal. This nonprofit will provide free therapy, support groups, resources, and community for women who need it most. Because Diana taught me that healing isn't about revenge. It's not about forgiveness. It's about choosing to be better than the pain that was inflicted on you. And that's what I want to help other women do. I handed the phone back to Maya, tears in my eyes. That's beautiful, Mom, she said softly. Yeah, I whispered. It is. And in that moment, I finally understood. I hadn't saved Jessica's life for nothing. I'd saved it because sometimes the hardest thing to do is also the right thing to do. And sometimes the greatest revenge isn't revenge at all. It's choosing to be the kind of person who rises above, who forgives without needing to, who saves a life even when it costs everything, who walks away stronger, not because of what was done to them, but because of what they chose to do in response. I was that person, and I was proud of who I'd become. So if this story touched your heart, if it made you think, if it reminded you that you're stronger than you know, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories like this. And I want to hear from you in the comments. Comment, she's stronger than me. If you don't think you could have done what I did, comment, I would have done the same. If you understand why I made the choice I made. Because here's what I learned through all of this. Forgiveness isn't about the other person. It's about you. It's about refusing to let someone else's betrayal define who you become. I didn't save Jessica because she deserved it. I saved her because I deserved to be the kind of person who could. And that made all the difference. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And thank you for being part of this journey with me. Until next time.